Both Chainlink and Solana have been exploding towards the upside this week, and in recent videos made on both Link and Solana, we identified that there was a high probability chance of this happening. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how we knew there was a high probability of this happening for both Chainlink and Solana, as well as that I'm going to identify price predictions for where these two coins are going in the next 2 years, because I think you're going to want to know. Hit the like button and let's get into it. Now, in the last week alone, Chainlink is up nearly 40%. And if you watched this video that was aired around a week ago, you would have potentially been able to catch that move. So what was it that we did to be able to identify what was going on in Chainlink? But the first thing we realized was whales were accumulating Chainlink. So what we did is we copied the Ethereum contract address. We took it over to the token analyzer, which is linked down below. We popped in the token address, put 30 days and saw Ethereum, and then used the Ethereum chain. And what we identified on the top volume trades is just a couple of weeks ago, around the 8th of October, we could see $1.6 million, $1.3 million, tons and tons of money starting to flow into the space. So from that, I then started to think, well, what was going on behind the scenes of Chainlink more recently? And to be honest, I hadn't really given Chainlink much attention throughout earlier on this year. And that's because it's just been stuck in this endless trend that basically didn't interest me at all. However, after seeing whales accumulating, I wanted to know what was going on with Chainlink that had people starting to pay attention, called CBOS. And this was an enormous conference for traditional finance with the topic of collaborative finance in a fragmented world. And here you had some of the very biggest names in traditional finance. However, there was someone else who was in attendance, and that was Chainlink. And they were talking about how they were integrating along with Swift with their CCIP payment systems. And looking at this rather confusing diagram, effectively what this means is being able to interconnect different banks around the world through the Swift payment system. And what's very important about this is it utilizes already existing banking payment systems. Now, we'll often talk about in crypto that, like, once mass adoption happens and everyone floods into the space, that we're going to make loads of money. That's possibly true, but you have to remember there's a lot of traditional finance out there who is not necessarily willing to jump into this new tech space. They have started to identify that the tokenization and blockchain technology has a very real use case within the system, but they want to be able to integrate existing systems into that technology in order for that to happen. Chainlink offers that like no other crypto out there, which is really exciting. Because traditionally, lots of people just focus on the real world asset side of things and the oracles part within Chainlink, but that's just one string of their bow. They actually have the ability to do a bunch of other things as well, such as cross-chain communication, where you can actually interact with different chains and things like that without having to set up wallet addresses or anything on another chain. So you can operate perhaps through Ethereum and interact with the Avalanche blockchain without having to have an Avalanche address. Also, if you look at this from an institutional side of things, it offers things like proof of reserves, market data feeds, and now data streams, which is leveraging high frequency market data to power the next generation of DeFi markets. And when were they talking about this new announcement? They were talking about it between the 18th and the 21st of September. And here you are, guys, 18th of September, 21st of September. These two big wallets were going in for big buys. This one here just under 700k, this one just under 500,000, and you can see this one here is now currently sat in $83,000 of profit. This one's slightly below, having taken some sells obviously throughout the gains, is now up $19,000 pretty much. So this event was obviously a very big trigger behind some big wallets accumulating. And CCIP is obviously helping a lot of others to start gaining interest in here. And it's this secure connection that basically links everything together. Now, a lot of people will be starting to talk about Quant, etc. And that's a big hype coin that has got many people excited. But Quant isn't even close to Chainlink in terms of how it's been connected, in terms of how it's already able to connect publicly all private blockchains. And as well, the interaction that it's had with Swift payment systems is another huge thing to be talking about. Now, XRP, XLM are hoping to replace the Swift payment solution, which would obviously be a very big case for XRP. However, in order for that to happen, they're going to have to go in and mix up an industry that is decades old, where there'll be a lot of people existing within that framework who have a lot to lose. Therefore, Chainlink coming in and being able to build on top of that framework that's already existing means that this can potentially happen harmoniously with traditional finance. Now, in order to identify where potentially Chainlink is going to go after this, we need to understand a little bit more about where it's been. In the recent video that I made about Chainlink, which if you subscribe to the channel, you hopefully would have caught, because you'll be able to identify what's about to pump before it does, and you too could be benefiting from 40 to 50% pumps. So that's just a nudge in the right direction if you haven't done it already, to subscribe to this channel. It's a no-brainer. If you want to make money in crypto, hopefully I can help you out. So we saw that we were in this accumulation channel, and we had basically pulled back after being rejected here, saying that at some point, given that Bitcoin was building in strength, we were potentially going to be seeing a break towards the upside. And right now you can see that Chainlink has run into some resistance somewhere around the $11 mark. Now, obviously, as I've just shown you, a lot of people sitting in very big profit right now after accumulating through September and into October. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that people will start to take profits, because this is still a market that's a little bit confusing, and maybe people are still anticipating that Bitcoin might roll over and have a bad few days. Now, if we look into this chart, you'll see that it's a key area of interest, because here, back in August of 2020, this area acted as support, and then throughout the kind of the bull market, also up through to around $15, this also acted as support as well. Previous areas of support flip into futures areas of resistance. Now we are in that area, finding some resistance. Now, it depends very much on what goes on with Bitcoin in the next few weeks, but I'm anticipating Bitcoin to still remain bullish and being able to push up to around 32,800 in the short to medium term. And that, I think, could still see a potential push in the near term up to around $18 for Chainlink, which would be a move of around 76%. Now, as you can see, we have had a breakthrough recently. It wouldn't be a shock to see Chainlink pulling back to around the $8 level and then seeing a move up. So in terms of whether I'm accumulating or not, obviously I was accumulating down through here. I will be waiting to take profits at around the $18 level, but we need to wait and see what happens in here. Because if we do get that substantial pullback of around $15 to $20, then maybe we got a chance to get in lower. But obviously, as I've always told you before, DCAing in is always the best bet. Now, before you rush away to your favorite exchange to go and buy Chainlink, let's discuss a potential bearish case for what's going on and whether or not we can actually reach these all-time highs that we saw back in 2021. Well, Chainlink, like XRP, is kind of inflationary. We do see quite a lot of time the team selling off large amounts of Link tokens, which have totaled to around $400 million. And that was happening all the way throughout here. Now, each month that equates to around $44 million, which might not seem like much, but potentially if the prices rise, we could also see the teams taking profits in order to be able to sustain the building of this project. Now, despite this, the crypto space right now is very quiet. However, each time you get into a bull market, you will identify that more people will start to get into the space. And why is that? Well, if you were in the market before, like I was, then you might have had a few friends that dabbled. But now I'm kind of meeting up with other people again, and they're asking me like which cryptos should be buying right now. And that will only increase once Bitcoin starts to rally towards the upside once more. And then you go into that crazy kind of FOMO period. So I do think as Chainlink continues to build out its use cases, it does have a very bullish case for at least reaching its all-time high in the future, which would be around a 5x from here. And I do think if it has a really explosive future, then we will be looking towards a 7 or an 8x. And you're like, 7 or an 8x, why am I in crypto? Well, this is the difference of being able to buy in early. Because when I talked about this token, we were sat between $7 and $8, and that allows us to get a 7x at all-time highs, which is literally a 300% difference. And if you're pushing towards $70, then you're going to get nearly a 900% move, which is significantly better than buying in after those pumps. And why it's so important that we can identify these pumps happening before they happen. So how have we been able to identify that Solana was looking very, very bullish indeed, and since the 27th of September being able to rally nearly 60%? Well, as you know, if you subscribe to this channel, since the very start of this year, I've been talking about how undervalued Solana is, and since some of the earlier videos I've made this year, it's up over 200%. Well, it's first important to realize how Solana went from being worth $260 back in the last bull market to bottoming out around $8. And if you pay attention to any of the news that happened at the end of last year, you'll realize that FTX, headed by Sam Bankman-Fried, was heavily involved in Solana. They held a huge amount of Solana tokens, and this meant that when FTX went under, Solana's biggest backer basically was decimated. And this meant that Solana fell literally around 65% in a single day back in November of last year. It wasn't just the FTX collapse that caused these issues for Solana though, it was also other things going on with it. Network outages had been a curse for Solana, and multiple times we saw the Solana network going under. This was a big cause for concern. However, when you battle test a project, it means that they go and fix their issues. And Solana was fixing their issues better than anyone else out there. And since fixing those issues, Solana has had 100% uptime this year, not seeing any outages at all. Something else to consider is during the entire bear market that we've been through more recently, the number of Solana active addresses has pretty much remained the absolute same in this green one here, obviously with a slight spike towards the downside that happened, and they've basically been on par with the number of active addresses that have been on Polygon and Ethereum. And because of all these active addresses, they've still been able to keep their fees and revenue that they've been gaining from fees pretty high. And here you can see, jumping into the fees, that on average each day is making around $48,800, which is above both Polygon and Cardano. Now, if you look at the average fees from Ethereum up here being in the billions of dollars, then you'll start to understand how the costs of Solana against Ethereum could make a big difference in that shift that's happening in the future. So we know that Solana is resilient because it's been battle tested multiple times. It's gone through some of the most arduous and challenging times of any cryptocurrency out there and is still flourishing this year, where it's gone from $8 all the way up to $30 plus this year. Although at the time of making this video, it's currently just sat under $30. The developers ecosystem is absolutely thriving, with more developers flooding into the platform all the time and building more and more applications, games and everything else. Star Atlas, one of the biggest GameFi projects going right now, is built on Solana, and other groundbreaking projects are being built on Solana all the time. Now, they also benefit from a unique consumer strategy, which is looking into things like the Saga phone, the world's first cryptocurrency phone. It's this attitude towards innovation, the ability to overcome hardship, that I think has Solana flourishing and being something that is being accumulated by big money all the time. So in order to identify where Solana's going into the future, we must take a quick look at Ethereum, one of its main competitors. Bearing in mind, Solana is taking away from the Ethereum ecosystem all the time in terms of NFTs being minted on Solana, in terms of Solana's ability to handle crazy throughput that Ethereum has no hope of ever reaching. At the top, we have Solana peaking out here at around $260. We then see this dip towards the downside, a shoulder come in, and then a roll into a bear market. This below is Ethereum, but this is Ethereum back in 2018. See a roll over, back into this, and then we go down. Now, from the top of the last Ethereum bull market to the top of the next Ethereum bull market, we see it do 259%. That's after an 80% decrease in the price that we also saw from Ethereum during that period of time. So both are almost structurally identical in this case. So if we were to see a 250% increase in the price of Solana from the top of the bull market previously to the next top of the bull market, then you can see at $930 is a potentially astronomical price target for Solana. And that would be around a 30x for the Solana price right now. And I want you to consider something. That's for a coin that's currently sat in number 7 on the CoinMarketCap top 100, which if you look above it, you can't really see happening with any of those other coins. And we know that the higher the ranking, the less risky theoretically these assets become. And looking at what Solana's already been through and being able to recover to the extent that it has, I think you all understand that I'm extremely bullish and have remained bullish on Solana. But as always, be very cautious of buying into tokens that have seen a very big rallies in recent days, because there's always a good chance of a pullback. Now, Solana, we can see, has already pulled back around 5 or 6% since putting in that high just above $31, and it's potentially reasonable to think that we could get back to around $28 in the near time. But it's also very important to note just how closely knit Solana is with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin right now is challenging a very interesting area. We are in the last kind of area of resistance that exists between around 32,000 and current price levels just above $30,000. If we're able to break through this area, then I do anticipate that Bitcoin will take a move to around 33k before breaking and pushing into this stage of the market. Now, I've been bullish throughout this year, and if you've been subscribed, you'll know that. But obviously, you never know whether or not we see a rollover to lower prices. It depends on whether or not you want to secure your bags in these coins. So personally, would I buy? Well, I've already been buying and accumulating these particular tokens through the year, and every time we get significant pullbacks and I have good cash flow, I will be accumulating more because of the potential future I see in these particular coins. It's no secret that Solana is my biggest bag and will continue to be my biggest bag, at least for the next 6 to 12 months, and I'll start to take profits at various key areas on the way up. Now, if you want to be able to buy those cryptocurrencies at the very best price, then I recommend MEXC, link down below in the description, because it has pretty much 0% spot maker taker fees, which is very key. As well as that, if you're from the US and you struggle to use various cheaper exchanges, don't use Coinbase because it's insanely expensive, then using a NordVPN, which is also linked down below, and you'll get 4 months for free if you join through my link, then you can go and access this exchange. This will save you so much more money in the long run because it's only the price of a cup of coffee after that initial 4 months for free that you'll get. Not only that, but you can also use non-KYC or non-know your customer to be able to sign up through the MEXC exchange, which obviously potentially might be beneficial depending on which country you are living in around the world. But I'll let you think about why that might be. Guys, if you enjoyed that video, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.